All right, my friends, I'm Julian, and today we're going to be making a single, solitary shortbread cookie. Recipe we're using today is from Wikipedia, and it's actually the first line of the page, which reads, shortbread is a traditional Scottish biscuit usually made from 1 part white sugar, 2 parts butter, and 3 parts plain wheat flour. Our unit of measurement today will be this teaspoon. So let's start. So into a nice sturdy glass mug, I'm gonna throw in my teaspoon of sugar, my 2 teaspoons of butter, and I'm just gonna stir those until they're just combined. I am not looking to cream the butter at all. I'm just gonna stir it until the butter kind of eats the sugar. It's gonna look something like that. Then I am ready to add my 3 teaspoons of all-purpose flour. It's good for all purposes. And I can start to mix that as well. And I'm just sort of loosely making a teaspoon. I'm not gonna weigh these out using a digital scale or anything like that. Said we're making a single shortbread, not a perfect shortbread. Basically, I'm gonna be stirring until I get to, it's gonna be a sort of sandy, kind of breadcrumb looking texture. It's like this. And at that point, I'm going to sort of smack the mixture against the sides of the mug, see if it sticks together. And once I see that it's sticking together, I'm going to stir a little bit more. And after a bit more stirring, the dough should just start forming itself into a ball and very neatly picking itself up off the mug, sort of cleaning itself up. If it's not doing that, feel free to add a tiny pinch of butter. And if that happens, it's actually good because it means you did not add too much butter and your shortbread will not spread out flat in the oven. When it looks like that, nice crumbly looking dough, I'm gonna take it out into my hand and press it in between my 2 hands, bring it all together. When I can form a nice smooth ball, I know that my dough looks good. Then I'm gonna sort of lightly press it into a log shape, or actually a real British person would call this a sausage. And then I'm gonna wrap it in plastic. And I'm gonna use the plastic to my advantage to give my shortbread its final shape, which in my case will be a bit of finger, because that is the optimal shape for dunking into a hot aromatic liquid. I'm gonna unwrap it, make my final adjustments, give it a pat on the head, let it know I love it. And at this point I'm touching it way too much. And once we're happy with the shape of our shortbread, we're gonna do what's called docking it with a fork. That is just a fancy baker's term for poking holes in it. And the holes will serve 2 purposes. First is to give it that very nice classic shortbread look. And the second is to make sure that it doesn't puff up while it's baking. And this is an optional next step, but we're gonna be extra good boys today and we're gonna put this in the fridge for 20 minutes. Now, I never mentioned to preheat your oven, so you're probably gonna have to do this anyway. And it's very important that our shortbread goes into the oven cold. This is gonna prevent it from spreading out flat, and a shortbread really is not supposed to spread out pretty much at all. So that's gonna go into the fridge for 20 minutes while our oven preheats to 300 Fahrenheit or 150 Celsius. The shortbread has been around since at least the 12th century, and we have Mary, Queen of Scots, to thank for the refinement of the biscuit. So, after about 20 minutes in the fridge, we'll notice that our shortbread has firmed up considerably. We're gonna put it on a parchment-lined baking sheet and into the 300-degree oven for at least 40 minutes. That's right, I said 40 minutes. A shortbread cooks slow and low for optimum snap. After about 35 minutes, you're gonna start smelling it, and that's a good clue that it's time to go check on what's happening in the oven. We're gonna wanna take it out when it looks like it's just starting to think about browning on the edges. The top should still be pale. And after exactly 53 minutes, we have a shortbread. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna wanna let this cool completely before you try to take a bite. This is not like a chocolate chip cookie or one of those that you're gonna wanna have it half, still, We want a nice snap on that shortbread. We want it to be crunchy. We want it to melt in our mouth. And for that, it's got to be at room temp. So this is a great opportunity to sort out your tea situation. And here we go. This is our finished thing. You can see, very nice and pale on the top. A little tiny bit of browning on the edges. And beautiful golden brown on the other side. And I've got here my cuppa, and my shortbread. But before I give it its ceremonial dunk, we must listen for the snap. Oof. And now, for a little dunk. It's a beautiful thing. I love the mildness of a shortbread. Comforting. Makes me think of the cookies that once existed in this jar. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Julian. Stay safe. Don't get fat making a batch of 12 shortbreads. Just make one. You'll be much happier.